Hey, financial besties. Hey, financial besties. How you doing? How you been? How you doing? How you been? I missed you all. Changed my screen view. Wasn't able to see your comments, but I missed you guys. I missed you. I'm looking forward to our chat tonight. I want to talk about something fun, something a little different than we usually discuss with all the chaos going on in our country, still going on. I don't know if I'm going to mention this every video, but it's relevant to tonight, although with a more positive spin this week. Because I know many of you are contemplating chucking the deuces to this place. Some of you got one foot out the door already. Some of you are already gone. But unfortunately, there are also some of us who are still here, but we have the option to leave. So I wanted to talk about some places that we could possibly go. I was doing some Googles since our last FaceTime chat with my besties, and I ran across some interesting data, and I wanted to share it with you. I hope that's okay. But girl, did you know that with your US passport, you can travel to 186 countries without a visa? Did you know that? And most of those countries will allow you to stay for up to 90 days, visa-free, with just your passport. With just your passport, 186 countries. Yeah. If you want to leave the US, the whole world, at least right now, at least right now that we still have some diplomatic connections, some diplomatic decency. I don't know what that's going to look like in a year. But for right now, 186 countries will allow us to visit for up to 90 days. But as I mentioned, I was doing some Googles. I love doing my Googles. And I learned that of those 186 countries, 10 of them, 10 countries allow you to come for at least 6 months. And 2 of those countries allow you to stay for a whole year with just your US passport. I was like, oh. Now, I don't know if these are countries I would want to live in. I didn't go that far in my Googles yet, but I wanted to bring these to you. And I want to talk about them because I know some of you are ready to leave. And if 90 days are not enough, which that's typically the norm for most countries, 90 days are not enough, I'm going to talk about the 10 countries that will allow you, a US passport holder, to stay at least 6 months. And 2 of those 10 will allow you to stay for a whole year. That's what I want to get into in this chat. But before we get yes, Tanya, yes, 186. But before we get into it and before I even look at your comments in the chat, focus, Malika. I was too excited. I can't wait to chat with you all about this. But before we get into it, let me introduce myself for anyone who is new to me. Hey girl, hey. My name is Malika. I'm a stock market investor and a money coach. Was a single mom on welfare for 10 years, debt-free by 33, financially free by 40. Retired early. I beat breast cancer. Yes, beat breast cancer. That's my most proud effort. All glory to God, because I'm incredibly, incredibly blessed. But on this channel, I share my experiences and my lessons learned related to my faith, my finances, and fun on the journey to financial freedom. And that includes lots and lots of travel. So if that's of interest to you, go on, tap that button down there, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload a new video or go live, like tonight. And also, by the way, check the video description for links. I included links to a free investor guide if you're new to the stock market, and also links on ways we can work together if you need help with your finances. So welcome, new friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now let me say hello to my OG besties. Let me say hello to my OG besties, which, by the way, is 3,000 of y'all now. Is 3,000 financial besties subscribed to the channel now. We hit that new subscriber milestone, I think on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday this week. Yay! I thank y'all for rocking with me. I really do. I thank y'all so very much. And by the way, happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to my sisters. I pray that you feel loved today. And if no one has told you yet, I love you and I appreciate you so very much. And let me say hello. Who's with me in the live chat? Hey, Tanya Brooks, always first in the house. Always first in the house. I appreciate you, Tanya. Hey, Sissy White, what's up, channel member? I see your custom emojis. Hey, Miss Deborah, what's up, channel member? Where your money babies at, Miss Deborah? Where your custom money babies at? Hello, Faithful Jones. And by the way, anyone want to become a channel member so you can have access to the perks and get your custom emojis, get access to the member-only videos. And I also added a new feature just recently. I'm going to start doing some member-only live streams somewhere like midweek. I want to add another video to the channel, and it may be just member only. So if you would like to become a channel member, support the channel, join the community of financial besties. That button, that join button, is below this video somewhere. We have 2 levels of membership. I would love to have you in the community. Hello, Miss Daisy. Good evening. How you doing? How you been? Oh, I missed you, Tanya. I missed you. Yes, girl. 186 countries with just that little blue book. Yes. We're going to talk about it. Hey, Courtney, how you doing? How you been? Hey, Miss Diane, how you doing? How you been? Hey, Miss Angie, channel member, how you doing? How you been? Oh, I love you too, Tanya. I love you too. But y'all, let's get into the topic. The 10 countries. So there are 186 total that we can get into with our U.S. passport. But there are 10 countries where you can live for at least 6 months with just your passport, visa-free. I think 6 months is plenty of time to test the waters and decide if you want to apply for a residency visa and make it your permanent home, or at least your temporary home for a year or 2, 3, 4, 5, however many times they allow you to renew your residency visa. What you think? Is 6 months plenty of time for you to decide if you want to stay in the country permanently, if you want to make it your home? And like I mentioned, 2 of those 10 countries will allow you to stay for 1 year. Now, I haven't been to all 10 of these countries, but I will share my opinion on the ones I've been to I will share whether I just visited for vacation or whether I actually stayed there long term and on a scouting trip to decide if it's someplace I wanted to live or not. But if you've been to any of them, please share your opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts. In fact, your thoughts are more important than my thoughts. But share your opinion if you've been to any of these 10 countries that we're going to talk about tonight. But okay, let's get into it. So, the general entry requirements for countries that allow visa-free travel when you have a US passport. There's three general requirements that apply to all of them. Probably all 186 of them, but it definitely applies to these 10 that we're going to talk about tonight. The first one is you need your US passport and it needs to still have 6 months of validity remaining. So the expiration date is not your real expiration date. A lot of countries will not allow you to enter unless you have at least 6 months remaining from that expiration date. So if your passport expires in December this year, December 2025, technically it expires in June, July 2025, because most countries want to see 6 months still remaining on that passport before they allow you to enter. The second general requirement is some countries may ask for proof of a return flight coming back home or an onward flight going to another country. Most of them don't care where you're going. They just want to know that you're getting up out of their country. They want to know that you're getting up out of their country before you overstay your welcome for the amount of time that they will allow you to be there with just your passport. Otherwise, you would have to apply for a visa or either leave the country. The other general requirement is some countries may ask for proof of accommodations and or proof of travel insurance. Now, I've never had a country ask me for proof of travel insurance when I was just traveling with my US passport. Now, when I apply for residency, I have had countries ask me for proof of insurance. But traveling with just my passport, I have been asked for proof of accommodations before, but I've never been asked for proof of travel insurance. But it could happen. It could depend on the person that you're interacting with. But those are the three general entry requirements for most countries that allow visa-free travel with a US passport. But you can check the immigration website of the country you want to visit for more specific requirements, because I don't know them all. And even the ones I'm familiar with, they're subject to change because the countries change their requirements all the time. You would not believe how often some countries change their immigration requirements. Even our country, the US, is changing things all the time. But anyway, let's talk about 10 countries. The 10 countries that allow you to stay with just your US passport for at least 6 months, visa free. And I also want to share the average monthly cost of living for a single person. Now, if you got a family, sorry, bestie, I didn't look up all that information for you. But at the end of the video, I am going to share some links where you can research the average cost of living for a country that you're interested in. But I have gathered the information for a single person. I'm a single person, and that's all I be looking for. That's all I be looking for. But anyway, the first country on the list of the 10 that allow you to stay visa free with just your US passport for at least 6 months is, can anybody guess what the first one is? It's the most obvious one. It's the most obvious one. Any thoughts on what the first one may be? And let me know, is 6 months enough time for you to visit a country and to live there and decide, do I want to apply for residency and stay here long term? Is 6 months enough for you to decide? Let me know. Yeah. Hey, Tay, how you doing? How you been? I haven't seen you in a minute. I haven't seen you in a minute. Yes, Tanya. Yes. The very first one, most common one is Mexico. Mexico. Mexico allows you to stay for at least 6 months. I know during COVID, there was a time where the amount of time you would be allowed to stay was subject to the immigration officer that you just so happened to get when you entered the country. And it was varying for some people, but their standard practice is 6 months. In terms of the average monthly cost of living for a single person, based on the sources that I've looked at, and I'll share those sources at the end. The average monthly cost of living in Mexico outside of major tourist areas is about $1,000 a month. About $1,000 a month. Now, when you are choosing to stay in tourist areas like Playa del Carmen, Cancun, a lot of people go to Merida. I actually stayed in Merida for 6 months myself. I have a video on why I chose Merida, and I also have a video on why I decided to leave Merida. But Mexico City. So the more popular the city is, the more expensive it's going to be, of course. But on average, outside of the tourist areas, the average cost of living for a single person is about $1,000 a month in Mexico. Anybody planning to go to Mexico? It's good to see you too. Anyone planning to go to Mexico? I might. I might. I need to do some more research because I know for sure I would not go back to Merida. I know for sure I would not go back to Merida. If I went back to Mexico, I need to do some more research and decide what other city I would want to try out. I do have residency in Mexico. I have permanent residency in Mexico. So um, when you get residency, there is no stay requirement. So you don't have to stay in the country for a certain period of time. Or if you leave the country, there is no limit on how long you can be outside of the country in order for you to maintain your residency. So I haven't been back to Mexico since 2023. I think 2023 when I left to go see Usher in Vegas. I haven't been back since then. But I may be going back before this year is out. Who knows? But who's planning to go to Mexico as a scouting trip, to go apply for residency, or to just go stay for 6 months on your tourist visa? Things get too hot around here. Would you consider going to Mexico? Let me know. Country number 2 that will allow you to stay for at least 6 months with just your US passport. It's our other neighbor, Canada. Canada. Canada will allow you a maximum stay of up to 6 months. Now, similar to Mexico, the cost of living is based on being outside of major touristy areas. Now, major cities like Toronto, Vancouver, of course, they're going to be expensive. That's like in the United States, our New York City and our LA is going to be expensive. So there are some outliers, but based on the sources that I found, the average cost of living for a single person in Canada is about a little under $2,000 a month. So Canada ain't cheap. Canada ain't cheap. But I know those of us, there are some of us who aren't necessarily looking for cheap. We prioritize quality of life. So Canada may be an option for you. I have only vacationed in Canada. and didn't stay very long. I think the longest I've stayed is maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks. So I don't have enough experience with Canada to judge whether it's a good place to live or not. It is not a good place for me because I don't like the cold. I ain't going nowhere further north than what I already am. I don't like the cold. Canada gets way too cold for me. So, no, thank you. Even with that very reasonable cost of living. And I'm sure the quality of life is very similar or better than here in the United States. In fact, I'm just going to say it's better because you ain't got to worry about anybody pew-pewing it up in a movie theater or a school or at a concert. So that alone makes it better. I've heard some mixed things about their health care because it's free. Some people say, oh, it's better because they have universal health care. But then there are some cons to having universal health care. So I have no opinion on that either way. Canada is a no for me because it's too cold. It's too cold. Way too cold. Hey, Sabine. You said you want to bop around Mexico. Bop around Mexico. You know what? I was thinking about doing that after all of this is behind me and I decide to go abroad again, which God willing will happen this year. I was thinking about picking about 3 or 4 different cities that I would like to explore and just stay in each city, maybe 6 to 12 months each, and just bop around Mexico. Like I was previously planning to bop around Southeast Asia, but I ain't going that far. I'm not going back that far, at least not for a couple of years. But yeah, I like the idea of bopping around Mexico because just like every state in the United States is different, every state in Mexico is very different. They have different climates, they have different cultures, they have different attractions, and I'm sure even the people are different. Um, yeah, so I've vacationed in several places in Mexico, but I've only lived in one. So there's lots to explore in Mexico with so much variety. So I think bopping around is a good idea. I might do the same thing, Miss Dane. What about Canada? Anybody considering Canada? Is that a place you would want to live for a couple of months? Push come to shove, things get a little hot and heavy around here. Would you go to Canada? I personally think we have so many options that are still nearby. Canada would be last on my list. I'm not saying never, ever, ever, but it wouldn't be my first choice. It wouldn't be my first choice. Oh, Tanya, you consider Mexico too? Okay, Tanya, considering Mexico too? Okay. All right. Scouting out different cities in Mexico, yeah. Because they're all so different. But yeah, I think I might make a list of maybe 4 cities in Mexico. So just go lay low for a little while and stay in each one of them for about 6 months. Yeah. I'm with you, Sabine. Canada is it's not a place I've ever considered. It's not even a place I've ever considered just visiting long term. Like the times I've been to Canada have been like hit it and quit it type trips, like just really quick. I've done a few drive-throughs, drive-bys. I even done some weekend trips to Canada, but I never thought about living in Canada. Me, the girl. Me either. Tanya said too cold, but she'll visit one day. Okay. All right. You gotta see the Niagara Falls on the Canada side. That's worth the trip. If you don't do anything else in Canada, that's definitely worth the trip. But the third country that I found that allow you to stay for 6 months, visa free, just your US passport, is Panama. Panama. Our friends down there in the South. Panama is very, very affordable. Very affordable. I did a scouting trip to Panama. Panama was very high on my list at one time, because it's so modern. Well, at least Panama City. Panama City in Panama is very modern. It's so beautiful. And the high-rise buildings, it's like a metropolitan city. It feels like a major city, even though it's really small. And there's so much more to Panama than just Panama City. You have the mountain area, the beach areas. There's so much variety in Panama too. Panama City, because it's very, very developed, it can be very expensive. There are high-rise apartments that can go for like 3,000 a month in Panama City. Now, outside of Panama City, some of the other cities that come out, Bukete, what's the other place I went to? David. David, that's the other place I went to. And I was supposed to go to Cologne, but I did not make it. But Bukete and David, they are very, very affordable. The climate is not as hot as Panama City. Panama City is just like any other tropical climate. It can get very, very hot in Panama City. But that's like the main attraction to Panama. That's where most tourists go. That's where most people land when they visit for the first time or they decide to move there before they start exploring the rest of the country. There's so much variety in Panama, but outside of Panama City, it can be very, very affordable. And the average monthly cost of living outside of Panama City, based on my research, is about $1,500 a month. About $1,500 a month outside Panama City. Now, if you want to be in the city, it's going to cost you. Panama City is not cheap. One thing I like about Panama is it was very easy to acclimate to the culture. There are a lot of us there. In Panama City, I interacted with a lot of people that spoke English. Once I got outside of the city, I had some challenges and I needed to lean on my broken Spanish. Their currency, they accept the US dollar. If you're looking for a home that is very, very similar to what you are accustomed to here in the United States in terms of like modern amenities, very easy to find in Panama City. Now, it might cost you, but very easy to find in Panama City. Every place I stayed, I loved. I loved. In fact, there was one place I stayed in Panama City. When I walked in, it gave me chills because it was the vision that I had in a dream. And I just knew Panama City was going to be my home and that's where I was going to end up living. Because it's this image that I had in my head of what I want my home to look like. And when I walked into that condo, it had the exact look, the exact layout, the exact floor plan, the exact view, everything that was in my dream. I was so excited. I had chills. I had tears of joy. I called my mama. I had to call my mama and tell her about it. And then I had to show her while we were on video chat. And she was like, yeah, that looks like it. I just knew Panama was going to be home for me. And the only reason why I say I can't live in Panama, and I shared this in a prior video, but I was told that Panama didn't get earthquakes. I was told that historically it had been years since Panama had an earthquake. Um, and even the few that they did get, they were very small earthquakes, like you can barely feel them. I had locals telling me that and other expats telling me that. So I'm like, all right, no problem, no problem. Cool, cool. Even though I knew their neighbor, Costa Rica, got hit with earthquakes all the time. They have a landmass that touch. So logic would tell you if Costa Rica gets earthquakes. See where I'm going with this? But the rep was like, we haven't had an earthquake in 10 years. And the last earthquake we had, it was so small, we barely felt it. I was all in the local groups and the expat groups and reading and researching and just trying to dot every I and cross every T before I made this decision. Why? Why? Of all these years with no earthquake, the one year that I decide to visit, and I'm on the 58th floor, the 58th floor in a penthouse suite, high rise. What do you think happens? I won't even get into my reaction because I've already shared that in another video. But when I tell you, I thought it was the second coming of Jesus when that building started swaying. It scared me so bad. I booked a flight and I left 2 days later. I said, I can't stay here. I can't stay here. All over the group chats, the WhatsApp group chats, the Facebook groups, all the expats in there talking about the earthquake. I'm like, I thought y'all said y'all don't get earthquakes. Well, we ain't had one since I've been here. Ciao. Scared me out of my skin. I had to leave quick, fast, and in a hurry. So keep that in mind if you are considering Panama as your home. Now that I have some time and space between that event, I would reconsider Panama, other areas that are more inland that did not get any tremors from the earthquake, which, by the way, it was also a very strong earthquake. I think it was like a 7 on the Richter scale. But I would consider maybe going inland, or if I stayed in Panama City, I would not stay in a high rise. I need to be on the ground level. I never ever want to experience that on the 58th floor ever again. Unfortunately for me, that 58th floor penthouse was the view that I had that was in my dream. It was the place that I thought I would live. So I would have to give up my dream. I mean, unless I can find something with similar views from the ground level, I don't know. I'm not going to rule it out completely. But I've been reconsidering Panama and thinking about what adjustments I would make so that I don't have a similar experience in the event there's another earthquake. Definitely wouldn't do a high rise again. Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. Have any of you been to Panama? What do you think? What do you think of Panama? Sabine said everybody's talking about Panama. It's a hot spot with expats right now. Folks are loving it. Yeah, Panama's beautiful. It's beautiful. Had it not been for that earthquake, I probably would have never left. I probably would still have been there. Another thing I like about Panama and why I would reconsider and think about like the types of adjustments that I could make is also they have very, very good healthcare. And one of their hospitals in Panama City is connected to John Hopkins in Maryland. A lot of their doctors are also trained here in the United States. Um, I have never had to go to the hospital in Panama, but I've heard really, really good things about it. In the neighborhood, the area that that hospital is in is a neighborhood that I would consider living. It's my understanding it's one of the more upscale neighborhoods in Panama City, very modern. Um, I personally like it, not because it's upscale, but it has views of the water and it also has very lovely green spaces. And y'all know that's my thing, water and green spaces. I need a place that's walkable. I need to be able to see the green grass, lots of trees. Um, so that is a neighborhood that I would definitely consider. Um, but yeah, Panama, Panama is beautiful. I hear they have a very, very nice pensionado visa. I think that's how you pronounce it for our retirees. Um, and I understand it's very, very easy to get in terms of the financial requirements. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that the financial requirements, you only have to prove a pension of $1,000 a month. And once you get the visa, you get lots of discounts. You get discounts on flights out of Panama. You get discounts on medicine. You get discounts on movie theaters, like all types of entertainment discounts. So they really take care of their retirees in Panama, their retired expats, I should say. They do a lot to attract us there. So um, yeah, Panama is back on my list of places to consider. The only thing that gives me pause is the diplomatic relationship between them and the US right now, because the felon wants to reclaim the canal. So not sure what type of conflict that may cause and what that may develop into. Um, so that's in the back of my mind when I think about Panama. But yeah, Panama is beautiful. If I didn't have that earthquake experience, I would have I would not have left. I would have a visa right now. I would have residency right now because I loved everything about it. David is on your it was on your list. Oh, why isn't it on your list anymore? You said you had it on your list. What happened? Did you visit David and didn't like it? Oh, I could never live in Mexico City. Oaxaca, I don't know too much about Oaxaca, but I know I could never live in Mexico City because I don't I like city life, but Mexico City just seems huge, like humongous. And I don't like big, big cities. I definitely don't like cities with a lot of like overly populated, a lot of pollution, a lot of traffic, a lot of like, yeah. And then Mexico City is out of all the states in Mexico is probably one of the more expensive ones. So there isn't anything I've heard about or read about in my research about Mexico City that attracts me. In Mexico, I would consider San Miguel. I would consider Puerto Vallarta. I would consider some of the names escape me, but they're like 3 or 4 that I have in mind. Some I've been to and I would go back to and stay a little longer and stay more like a local, and some I've never been to at all. Angie Mo said she enjoyed Panama, went on a relocation tour. Those relocation tours are very popular in Panama. They take you to all the major spots around the country. There's mostly everything one could need. Lots of choices. Yeah, lots of choices. So much variety in Panama. If you don't like the heat, you can stay in the mountain area. If you prefer being near the beach, you can stay in what's the area that I stayed in that was right on the beach? Beach town, Panama. It wasn't too far from Panama City. Coronado. Another beach town is Bocas del Toro. I think that is on the southern tip. I believe that's near Costa Rica. Correct me if I'm wrong. Bocas del Toro is near the border of Costa Rica. But Coronado is maybe 45 minutes from Panama City. I really liked Coronado. Yeah, Angie said, yeah, only $1,000 a month for the retirement visa in Panama. Cool beans. So there you go. You don't have to prove income of $1,000 a month in order to get residency in Panama. But even without residency, you can stay with just your passport for 6 months to try it out. Okay, Tane said it's still on the list. David, okay. Just not the first or second choice like it was in the beginning. Okay. In addition to Panama, Canada is also under fire with diplomatic racial as in Mexico. He's messing with everybody. Exactly. He's messing with everybody. The only reason why I mentioned Panama, because yeah, you're right, he is messing with everybody. In fact, with his new tariffs that he's about to release, he mentioned that he's going to apply tariffs to everybody, friend or foe. So everybody around the world. Like he messed with everybody. The only reason why I mentioned Panama is because that could develop into an actual conflict. It could lead to actual war. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe Panama has a military. I know Costa Rica does not. In fact, Costa Rica relies on the United States for military protection. Does Panama have a military? Let's see. Nope, Panama does not have a military. So it's more concerning to me with Panama because he wants something that Panama owns. And he thinks he has a right to just take it. And Panama does not have a military to defend themselves. So that's something to think about in terms of living in Panama. He sends the troops in, and ain't no telling what can become of that. I know he's picking on Canada too and Mexico, which, by the way, I love Mexico's president. She is feisty, and she ain't scared of him. She clapped back at everything he say. But yeah, the Panama one really concerns me because he wants to take something that doesn't belong to him. And it wouldn't put it past me if he tried to take it. And what would Panama do? Don't know. It's something I will continue to monitor. Yes, girl. Daniel. Mexico's president. She is feisty. I like her. I like her a lot. Basically, she be telling him, "Nuck if you buck," because we ain't scared. I like her a lot. Um. Anyway, the fourth one on the list. Perfect segue. Costa Rica, Panama's neighbor. Costa Rica allows you to stay visa free for 180 days, which is about 6 months. Costa Rica is very, very popular for expats too. There's a very large expat community in Panama. Um, and I'm sure in Costa Rica, it's just as large, if not larger. A lot of Americans and Canadians retire in Costa Rica. I found that most of us are on the Caribbean side, and others are on the Pacific side. Um, Costa Rica is not a country that I would consider like very inexpensive compared to its other um, Latin American countries. It's more on the higher end, I think. But of course, as always, outside of the touristy areas, the cost of living is very, very cheap. I, I shouldn't say cheap. I don't like the C word. I think that can be insulting for the people that live there. Relative to the United States and what you're accustomed to paying in the United States, it's still inexpensive. Um, but outside the touristy areas, the average monthly cost of living in Costa Rica is about 1,200 a month for a single person. About 1,200 a month for a single person. I have been to Costa Rica several times. I did a scouting trip to Costa Rica. I stayed in several regions all across Costa Rica. I enjoyed Costa Rica as a vacation spot, especially your first time visiting. Is so much to do, so much to do. I remember climbing my first volcano, an active volcano in Costa Rica. I remember walking across the what do you call it? The cloud bridges, the bridges that are suspended in air. I did that for the first time ever in Costa Rica. A lot of their beachfront properties, absolutely beautiful, especially on the Pacific side. Um, Lots to do in Costa Rica in terms of vacationing. Would I live in Costa Rica? For me, no, I wouldn't live in Costa Rica. Um, the capital city, San Jose, I definitely wouldn't want to live in the city area. Um, I just find, unless you stay on the Caribbean side, I just feel like Costa Rica is too many of people, is too many, the people that I would want to get away from. I'm trying to word this without offending anyone. Um, the people that I want to get away from, it's a lot of them there. And that's not what I want. Y'all get my drift? Again, unless you live on the Caribbean side. The Caribbean side is not as developed as the Pacific side, in my opinion. Um, if you are like a very laid back, slow beach town type of person, it will be cool for you. I'm not. I like views of the water, but I'm not a beach town slow living type person. Um, Again, cool for vacation, but it just didn't appeal to me for living. And I most certainly wouldn't live in the city. San Jose, which reminds me, the crime rate in San Jose, and I can't speak for all of Costa Rica, but I know the crime rate in San Jose is not um, a place where I would want to live and then enjoy my retirement life. If I'm going to leave the US, I need to go somewhere where my head ain't on a swivel, where you don't have to worry about getting pew-pewed, I don't think. But there are other crimes that are very common in Costa Rica. I can't speak to what types of crimes, but what I do know is the crime rate is higher than what I would like it to be in terms of someplace where I would want to live. But Costa Rica is a beautiful, beautiful country. If you're a nature lover, if you wouldn't mind living like in the woods, or if you're a beach lover, Costa Rica might be for you. I'm neither one of those things, but the cost of living is very, very reasonable outside of the touristy area. All right. What number are we on, y'all? What number are we on? Let me pull up my list here. The first four were easy. So we're on number 5. So Canada, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica. Yeah. So number 5. Now, as we go further and further down the list, okay, yeah, I have my list up now. As we go further and further down the list, I haven't been to one other than 2. The rest of the list I haven't been to, so I can't tell you nothing about them. But before we go on, let's see what y'all saying about Costa Rica. Andy said the same thing. Costa Rica was a nice visit, but not a stay place for me. And the free-range monkeys and baboons, etc., ain't my vibe either. The infrastructure wasn't as good as how Panama is now. Right. Yeah, and that's another thing. I don't recall like any major public transportation. I remember having to hire a driver or use like a service, like a transportation service to get from one region to the next. There weren't, yeah, the infrastructure, there's no major public transportation. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, I hired a driver or I had to use a service that was like a 8-passenger van or something that will take you from one region to another. Yeah, the transportation, the infrastructure, yeah, it's not as developed. Again, Costa Rica is one of those countries you go to if you enjoy nature, if you enjoy, that slow beach life. You're not really looking for infrastructure. You want to get away from a developmental type environment. It's for people that like the slow life and like to be off the grid, kind of. I think Costa Rica will be perfect for someone that likes to be off the grid. Hello, Harlem. How you doing? How you been? We're talking about 10 countries you could live in for at least 6 months with just your US passport. And we are on country number 5. So the 5th country I have on my list is Peru. Peru allows you to stay for 183 days. I thought that extra 3 days was a little odd, but it's neither here nor there. 6 months. 6 months. I've never been to Peru, so I have nada to share about Peru. It's on my list of a country to visit for vacation purposes. It has never been on my list of places to live, and I don't think I know anyone that lives in Peru either. But the note I made about Peru is the cost of living is lower in cities like Cusco and Arequipa. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Arequipa. Arequipa. So those cities had the lowest cost of living, and the average monthly cost of living for a single person was about $1,200 a month. About $1,200 a month. Has anyone lived in Costa Rica? I mean, I'm still talking about Costa Rica. Has anyone lived in Peru? Have you scouted Peru? Are you considering Peru as a possible place to live? So Peru is country number 5. I want to visit one day, but I don't know about living. Okay. And that reminds me, a lot of these countries that I've mentioned so far, in the major cities or the touristy areas, English is widely spoken. Now, in Peru, I don't know if English is widely spoken. And in the other countries where I mentioned, once you get outside of the major touristy area, the cost of living is lower. Once you get outside those major touristy areas, it's going to be harder to find English speaking people. So it will be even more important that you learn the language if you decide to move outside of the touristy area in order to afford a lower cost of living. But Peru is also a Spanish speaking country. Again, I've never been, so I don't have anything to share about it other than you can stay for 6 months with just your passport, and the average cost of living is about $1,200 a month. Number 6 on the list is Barbados. Barbados allows you to stay for 6 months with just your U.S. passport. You can stay for up to 6 months in Barbados. Now, I've been to Barbados, y'all. Barbados ain't cheap. I thought out of all the Caribbean islands I've been to, and I've been to quite a few, not all of them. I've been to quite a few. I thought Barbados was on the higher end. It was one of the more expensive ones. It's my understanding that Barbados is more expensive or has a higher cost of living because they rely mostly on imports. So when you're importing things into the country with tariffs and taxes, you're going to pay more for those things. But Barbados is country number 6. Country 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, country number 6 on my list that will allow you to stay for 6 months. I love Barbados for vacation. Barbados is beautiful. In fact, Barbados was my first solo trip ever. I was not quite 30. I was in my late 20s when I went on my first solo trip. And it was so random because I was so scared. And I just ended up booking a flight. And I booked the flight so close where like I booked it on a Thursday and I was flying out that Friday. I did it like last minute and I did it so close in terms of planning my departure so I wouldn't change my mind. And I loved it. I loved it. And I got bit by the solo travel bug. And I haven't stopped since. So Barbados is wonderful for vacation. I cannot speak to what it would be like living there because I've only been once and only stayed for about 2 weeks. But I remember it being pricey. Any of you live in Barbados? Know anyone that live in Barbados? Would you consider living in Barbados? What do you know about it? If you're watching a replay, leave a comment on these countries and share your opinion of these countries. Please, I would love to hear your opinion. Harlem said Peru is beautiful for the natural world. Caution on Cusco. The elevation is no joke. Okay. Yeah, I heard about the elevation going up to Machu Picchu. Okay. Thanks for the warning. Good to know. I've never been to Peru. It's on my list, places to visit one day. But next on the list, number 7. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, number 7 on the list is Dominica. Dominica, not the Dominican Republic, so don't confuse them, but the island of Dominica will also allow you to stay for at least 6 months. Also allow you to stay for 6 months in Dominica. Dominica, I've never been to before, so I have no personal experience, but I am in several travel groups with a lot of seasoned travelers, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. I heard it was very affordable, and I also heard that there's a lot of natural beauty there. So if you're a nature lover, Dominica might be a place for you. If you've been to Dominica, let me know what you think. I've never been to Dominica. Um, and to be honest, it's never been on my radar of places to visit either. I can't say why. I have nothing against it. I've heard nothing but good things about it, but it's never even been on my radar. So I was surprised to see it on my list of countries that will allow you to stay for 6 months. So it may get on my list now. It's on my radar now. But let's see what Angie Mo said about Barbados. She loved Barbados. Just found out my great grandfather was born there, doing some family research. Ooh, so you may be able to get citizenship in Barbados. I hear a lot of Caribbean islands are granting citizenship if you can prove your lineage. Awesome, awesome, Angie Mo. Savannah says she never heard of Dominica. I've only heard of it through the travel groups, girl. You ain't alone. I've never been. I've never been. You are not alone. All right, y'all. Next on the list. So we're out of the Caribbean now. I put the list together like as we're traveling across the map. So we did the North America, then we did the Caribbean. Now we're on our way across the pond. So the next on the list is the UK. The UK, United Kingdom, will allow you to stay for 6 months with just your US passport. Just your US passport. I need to give y'all time to leave comments. I'm moving on to the next country, and y'all haven't had a chance to comment on the country we already discussed. Angie says she liked Dominica, but I think it's a little too rural for me to live there. I need a little mix. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Miss Angie, because I had no idea. I had no idea. Maybe I'll add it to my list of places to travel just to test it out. I feel like Costa Rica is rural. So is it more rural than Costa Rica? And when I say Costa Rica is rural, they do have a major metropolitan city, but it's a place where I wouldn't consider staying. When I think about the place I would want to stay in Costa Rica, if I stayed, it would be the Caribbean side. But in terms of the lack of infrastructure, I feel like Costa Rica is very rural. So how would you compare Dominica to Costa Rica? Harlem, am I pronouncing it wrong? Dominica. 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 Thank you for correcting me. Look, I'm using my my syllables and sounding it out based on the way you wrote it. Did I say it correctly, Harlem? Dominica. Yeah, Angie. Get that second citizenship, girl. But all right, let's move on, y'all. Let's move on. So number 8 on my list is the UK. Let's go across the pond now. The UK will allow you to stay for at least 6 months with your US passport. Um, I'll be honest, I don't know nothing about the UK outside of London. I've been to London a dozen times. I like London for vacation. I couldn't live in London. I wouldn't want to live in London for a few reasons. Number one, London is expensive. London is more expensive than the United States, in my opinion. London is the most expensive in all of the UK. Um, the average cost of living, I noted, was over $2,000. It's like when I was trying to determine the average, it was just all over the place. It's over $2,000. Um, I think in the summer, London is absolutely beautiful. It's like the place to be. I love doing summer in London. In 2023, I went to London and did a house sit for about 2 months, um, and loved it. I was staying right near the London Eye, so everything was just easily accessible. I was able to walk everywhere. The train system is very easy to use. They speak English, so it was easy to understand everyone, easy to get around. Like everything was just easy. It was just like if you're from like a major metropolitan city like DC, New York, they got a train system. Getting around London, it would feel just like you're at home. Um, what I don't like about London is number one, it's more expensive. But I said that already. Uh, it's cold and dark and dreary outside of the summer months. And I just feel like the UK is the same as the United States in terms of racism. So I would not leave one country that oppresses me and choose to go to another country that's also going to oppress me. No, thank you. So I like London for vacation in the summer only. But to stay, it's not a place that I would consider. But if you wanted to go, you wanted a place to go, if you needed to peace out of the United States quickly, and you do not understand another language other than English, and affordability isn't your number one criteria, London, the UK in general, I shouldn't just say London, the UK is a great option for you. I have no knowledge of anything outside of London. If you do, please share. Um, I'm sure the UK, in terms of the issues regarding race, is probably even worse outside of London. So I don't know if I would consider going outside of London, even if I did choose to go to London, if I needed to leave here quickly. Um, but yeah, that's what I think about London. Let me know your thoughts. Tanya said, UK isn't on my list, but want to visit one day. All right. All right. Yep. Harlem. Sure is. It's so dark and just gloomy, just depressing. Like if you have what they call it, seasonal depression disorder, where in the winter months when the day gets shorter and it's dark early and rainy weather, you probably would not enjoy London. You probably wouldn't enjoy London. I don't think the food is that great in London either. I don't think the food is that great. When I visit London, I forgot what's the black neighborhood. Oh, what my last summer there. I made some new friends and they really showed me around. And I found us in London. Brixton. Yes, Brixton. And I found our restaurants and our shops and the places we go. And I enjoyed it even more. But yeah. Yes, Harlem, Brixton. Yeah. I did a quick Googles. Mm-hmm. Yes. So there's lots of us there. So if you can find us, you may have a wonderful experience. In fact, finding us made me enjoy it even more. Miss Deborah said the food is healthier than the US. You know what? I think the food is healthier everywhere than the US. It's like other countries care about their citizens, where they will outlaw an ingredient because that ingredient is known to cause cancer or known to cause inflammation or known to cause stomach upset. Like, and they will just completely outlaw that whole ingredient, like red dye and all the stuff that you find in all of our foods. It's like other countries like, no, you can't give our people this. And the same companies, in fact, US companies, they will modify the ingredients to fit the laws in those countries to make their item healthier for them, but they will continue selling us the crap that they know causes cancer, or the crap that they know causes inflammation or increases, it's too much sugar. They sell us crap, but the same companies will sell in another country and make it healthier because that country will outlaw the ingredient or will require less sugar. So, yeah, in the UK, the food is healthier. But I think it's healthier everywhere. I think it's healthier everywhere. Tanya said it. The food is better everywhere. Yes. Yes, everywhere but here. Like, how can you be an American company that sells globally and you will modify your ingredients to make your product healthier for these countries, but for the people in your own country, just because it's cheaper to make using these crap ingredients, or because it's something that will make you more addictive to it or make you crave it more, you'll stuff that junk in the product that you sell to your own people right here at home. It's just wild to me. It's just wild to me because they don't care. You're right. They don't care, Miss Deborah. They don't care. Mr. Bain makes a good point. Big Food and Big Pharma working together. They got highly paid lobbyists that grease the palms of our elected officials to make sure that they don't outlaw the ingredients that are in their products. They work together. The food make you sick, then you need the medicine. So both of them create multi-billions in profits off the backs of hardworking Americans. Because they don't care. But anyway, let's move on. Country number, what are we up to? Number 9. These last 3 countries. This is what am I snacking on, Deborah? This is what do they call it? A tangelo. I've already peeled it, so I can't show you the full version. But it's like an orange, but I think it's sweeter than an orange, and it's easier to peel. It's one of those, like, imagine an orange, but then it has like a stump on the top. That's the only way I can describe it. But it's called a tangelo. And I don't like oranges, but I like tangelos. And I also like clementines, the little tiny ones that are easy to peel. But I can sit here and eat like 10 clementines at one time. So I don't buy those little bitty old things. But tangelos are about the same size as an orange, but they're easier to peel and they're sweeter. I love them. I love them. It's my favorite snack. Next to blueberries. I love snacking on blueberries too. Alan says she loves tangelos. It's an elevated orange. Okay. I know it's in the orange family. It's in the citrus family. It's good. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. But country number 8. 8 or 7. Anyway, it don't matter. I'm going to share everything that's on my list. It'll be at least 10. This is the last country that will allow you to stay for at least 6 months. And the rest of the countries on my list, I've never been to. And I never even heard of them until I did the Googles and found them on this list. But the next country is Armenia. Armenia. With a U.S. passport, you can stay for 180 days. With a U.S. passport, you can stay for 180 days. And of all the countries on this list, it is the most affordable. The most affordable. I never heard of it. So, of course, I've never been. And I was like, I've never heard anybody talk about it in the travel groups. So I went to TikTok and started searching because I wanted to see if any Black people been there. Apparently, this is a very, very popular country. I'm like, Lord, where have I been? But Armenia allows you to stay for 180 days with just your U.S. passport, and it's the most affordable on this list. The average monthly cost of living for a single person is $800. $800. No. So, where this country been? Why it ain't been on my radar? But I saved a few of the TikTok videos to go back to later. This is a country I may consider. Push come to shove, and I really needed to peace out. I don't know what the weather is like. I didn't do any research beyond the visa-free stay and the average cost of living. But yeah, it's on my radar now. Something to consider. Now it's in I want to say Eastern Europe. So take that with a grain of salt. No, hold on. This is South. It's in the South Caucasus region. So it kind of borders Europe and Asia. So it's Eastern Europe and Western Asia. So that explains why it's one of the most affordable on the list, if it's near Asia. Yeah, but it's definitely part of the EU. It's not in Asia. It's part of the EU. Says there's no recent history of terrorism. I did some quick Googles of the safety. Didn't do too much, so I don't have enough facts and data to share. But it's on my list of places to research because I've never heard of it and I've never been. The country number, I said 10, I actually have 11 because Armenia was number 9. So I actually have 11. So extra bonus for you all. But both of these countries, the last two, allow you to stay for 1 year. 1 year you can stay. Country number 10 is Albania. And country number 11 is Georgia. The average cost of living for both of them is very, very inexpensive relative to the other countries on this list. Albania is about $1,000 a month. And Georgia is similar to Armenia, only $800 a month. Only $800 a month. Now, I noted the most affordable country in Albania is Tirana, Tirana. And in Georgia, it said the most affordable country. The most affordable city in Albania is Tirana. And the most affordable city in Georgia is Tbilisi, Tbilisi. But yes, both Albania and Georgia allow you to stay for 1 year with just your U.S. passport. Just your U.S. passport. I saw a lot of videos on TikTok of us traveling to Albania and Georgia, and all of them had positive things to say. All of them had positive things to say. So they're on my list to do more research. Now, if the climate in these countries are cold, I don't care how safe it is. I don't care how affordable it is. That's just going to knock them off my list, period. So that's the first thing I'm going to look into, the climate, because it's just a no for me after that if you don't fit my weather criteria. But, Lamia's saying Albania is on your list. Okay. I need to look into Albania, huh? All right. Well, Albania and Georgia are both on my list. Now, let me share with you the websites I go to find the cost of living of different countries. But I'll just tell you for those who may be watching the replay and you're not able to see the links that I'm putting in the live chat. I use Earth Awaits. I use Numbeo. I use Expatistan, EXPATISTAN. So those are the 3 websites I use when I want to gauge the cost of living for an area. Another thing I do that's not specifically for cost of living data, like these 3 websites, is I'll go to Airbnb. I'll go to Airbnb and I will put in a whole month for a reservation. And that will give you a good idea of what the cost of living is like for that area. Because you think about it, your Airbnb is covering the rent, all of the utilities, and it's fully furnished. So if it costs, $3,000 to stay for a month in that city, that'll let you know the cost of living is on the higher end. And when I say $3,000, it made me think of one of the high rises that I stayed in when I was in Panama City. Panama City is not cheap. If you want to stay someplace that's really, really nice, that's very accessible and has beautiful beautiful views. I love a beautiful view because I don't be hanging out. I don't be in these streets. I spend a lot of time at home, and my home needs to be comfortable and beautiful wherever I'm staying. So I'm willing to pay for that comfort and for those beautiful views that I prefer. But Airbnb can give you an idea of what the cost of living is for an area. And then I go to these websites for more details. But if you go to Airbnb and you can rent a decent place for $1,500 a month, then you'll know that it's a very affordable city. So there's a link to Earth Awaits. Here's a link to Numbeo that actually has the rankings of countries around the world. I saved that link because I wanted to see the rankings of different cities around the world. And this is the expat website that I use. So all three of them are in the live chat. All three in the live chat. So just a quick recap. All the countries that will allow you to stay for at least 6 months with just your US passport. And all of them except one has an average cost of living that's less than $2,000 a month. First one, Mexico. Second one, Canada. Third one, Panama. Fourth one, Costa Rica. Fifth one, Peru. 6, Barbados. 7, Dominica. Thank you for correcting me. Can't remember who that was, but thank you. 8, Barbados. I lost count. The next one, UK. Next one, Armenia. Next is Albania. And the last one is Georgia. The last two will allow you to stay for 1 whole year. 1 whole year. So, besties, things get hot around here. Or if you already planning to peace out, those are countries that you can consider if you do not want to go through the process of applying for residency too soon. You can stay in any of those countries for at least 6 months, and you can get a feel for it. Is this a place where I want to stay? You can get a feel for it before you decide to apply for residency and plant your feet. Now, y'all don't go to these countries with no money now. Don't go to these countries with no money. Ms. Angie said, if times get too hard, I consider a low-cost country, but I'd rather not live so far away. Some of the languages can be hard to learn too. So all the places that are close here in North America, you got Canada, you got Mexico, you got Costa Rica, if you're only considering the countries that are on this list, but there are, of course, lots more that will allow you to stay up to 90 days. But most of those countries are not English-speaking countries. We got a lot of the Caribbean. Some of those are English-speaking countries. So you got to, do a give and take and consider your options, right? If location is your priority, then you have to consider staying in a country that where English is not the primary language. Now, there are people that thrive in these countries and never learn the language. If you're planning to stay and make it your home, it's going to be important to learn the language so you can integrate into the culture and have a better quality of life. Otherwise, if you just live in an expat bubble and never learn the language, that's okay for travel, for vacation travel, but for places that you plan to live, I think that can become a safety risk if you don't learn the language. So if you want to stay nearby, the trade-off to that is is learning the language, but you'll get the closeness to home and you'll get the affordability. But learning the language is important. Learning the language is important. Um, but don't go to these countries without no money, y'all, even though they're affordable. You need to either have a remote job, a business, Social Security, a pension. If you don't have any one of those things, you're going to need some savings. If you don't have any one of those things, you're going to need some savings. Don't go to these people country with no money. Because a lot of these countries, they don't have like social systems like we do here in the United States. Now, most of my besties, we already know that. We ain't fooling around. We don't live broke here at home, so we most certainly ain't going to live broke in another country. But I mentioned that because before you leave the United States, make sure you have a source of income. If you do not have a source of income, make sure you have a pot of money. And if you do not have a pot of money, there said a lady said her flip-flops melted off her feet in marriage. Y'all funny. Y'all know I got a video on Merida on the channel. But if you do not have a pot of money, which is what I call a peace fund, and I call it a peace fund because it's not an emergency fund. It's not just for emergencies. A peace fund is that pot of money that will give you the peace of mind to address financial challenges, to do the things that bring you joy and bring you peace. If you do not have a peace fund, if you do not have a fully funded peace fund, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm hosting a peace fund workshop this Sunday to show you how to build your savings faster. To show you how to build your savings faster within the next 6 months at most. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. So this Sunday is the Peace Fund Workshop, February 16th at 3 p.m. And the workshop is designed to help you financially prepare for the challenges that are ahead, and so that you have a pot of money so you can peace out with confidence and go to any of the countries that allow you to enter visa-free with just your passport, and any of the 10 countries, actually 11, that we talked about this evening that allow you to stay long-term. But in the workshop, this is an interactive workshop. I've created worksheets, I've created a guide, everything I've created for you. But we're going to do the work to determine how much you actually need for your peace fund, because it's different for everybody. I'm going to share my strategies. I have 4 strategies. Within each strategy, I'll give you at least 3 examples of how you can build your peace fund faster. How you can build your peace fund faster. If you already have a peace fund, but you want to beef it up even more, I can show you how to do it faster. If you don't have a peace fund at all, even on a tight budget, I can show you how to start building it faster. In the peace fund, I'm also going to show you how to stay consistent and how to maintain your financial peace. So even if you have a peace fund, you need to maintain your financial peace, because the felon and his minions, which I have actually started calling a drug addict. Those of you in the sister circle, I don't know if you saw my post today, my weekly accountability post. I dropped some 411 on the minion, or AKA the drug addict, and what I think about him, and some changes that I'm making in my portfolio as a result of the things that I'm seeing in the market. But anyway, that's in the sister circle. Focus on the peace fund. I will also show you how to maintain your financial peace during these uncertain times that are ahead of us. And my objective with the workshop is to help you walk away with an actionable plan to grow your peace fund faster and to maintain your peace even during the most challenging times. There's a word I've been hearing over and over and over this week, and I get sick of hearing it, but I know I'm going to hear it so many more times, more often than not, is unprecedented. There are things that have been happening this year, so many that have been unprecedented. The media is killing that word. And I'm like, you know what? They have to say that because it's true. Things are happening that have never been done before. So it's so important for you to have a peace fund during these unprecedented times. Life is already unpredictable. But yeah, with this current administration, drama and chaos are inevitable. Increased expenses are inevitable. So the question for you to ask yourself is, will I be financially prepared? Can I peace out and go to one of these other countries if and when I want to? That's why I created this workshop. And I'm only doing it one time. It's a one-time only workshop. Again, February 16th, this Sunday at 3 p.m. Let me share. Hold on. I'm going to make sure it's February 16th. Is that the date? Yep, February 16th at 3 p.m. Let me share the link for those who want to register for the Peace Fund. This is the link to register for the Peace Fund. We will start on Sunday at 3 p.m. So whether you choose to stay or whether you choose to go, you need money to do so. And if you don't have a peace fund, I created this workshop to help you build it faster. If you do have a peace fund, but you would like more, this workshop will help you build it faster. Let me see what you all are saying in the chat. If you have any questions about the workshop, feel free to ask. Feel free to ask, and I will be happy to answer. I'm only doing this one time. I created this workshop in response to a poll. I asked you what you needed help with. You told me, and I responded to the call. So this workshop was created specifically for my financial besties on YouTube, and I'm only doing it one time this Sunday at 3 p.m. You're welcome to join us. That's right, Harlem. Don't go broke trying to move abroad. I see so many people on YouTube. I came back to the United States because I ran out of money. You left an affordable country to come back to the most expensive country because you ran out of money. Girl, what was your plan when you left? You didn't have one. I want you to have a plan so when you go, you can stay gone. So when you go, you can stay gone. That's right, Tanya. Get your money right before you go. Hey, Shalonda. What's up, financial bestie? You see the post I put in the sister circle for you all? What I think about the felon and his drug addict sidekick? They speak English in Dominica. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Thank you for sharing that with me. I will have to look into Dominica now. So, good. So, Caribbean islands, I'm assuming it's warm. It's affordable. They speak English. Why isn't Dominica on my list? Why isn't Dominica on my list? Was married or too hot for me? Go watch my video. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Dominica. Uh, I, there we go. I just put the link in the chat to the video on why I left Merida. Merida. And Jamil said you failed Duolingo. Duolingo can't really teach you Spanish. You're not really going to learn Spanish on an app. I took 4 years of Spanish in high school and 2 years in college. I learned absolutely nothing in terms of actual communication. I didn't start learning how to communicate in Spanish until I took the immersion course that I took when I went to Guatemala earlier this year, and then also living in a Spanish speaking country and hearing it and making friends with locals that will practice with you. Those apps like Duolingo, they're going to teach you the formal way of saying things. And when someone is speaking it, they don't use formal language. And even if they did use the formal word, they say it so fast, it doesn't even sound like what you learned from Duolingo or what you learned from a college level course. It's completely different. Conversational Spanish is completely different. So yeah, those apps, in my opinion, I don't think those apps do anything to help you really learn a language. You have to actually immerse yourself into the language. What's DA? DeQuandry? DeQuindry? I'm sorry. You have to forgive me if I said your name wrong. I don't know what DA is. What's DA? What's DA? Hi, Miss Geraldine. You should have received the Zoom link in your confirmation. When you submitted payment and you received an email confirmation, the Zoom link is in that confirmation. But I do plan to send a welcome email that will go out tomorrow morning to everyone that's registered. But you should have the Zoom link already. Have you checked your confirmation email? That confirmation email also includes a private community for you to join. And the Zoom link will also be posted in the private community. So I have several touch points. Let me know if you received the confirmation email. If you did not, send me an email and I will make sure that you get it tonight. Okay. That's what I'm doing too. Okay. Guatemala. And I loved Guatemala. I loved Guatemala. Yes, especially Lake Atilan. What was the village I stayed in Lake Atilan? San Pedro. I think it was San Pedro. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Lake Atilan is so beautiful. So beautiful. You're welcome, Miss Deborah. But yeah, so if you all want to join us in the workshop that starts on Sunday, looks like some of you in the chat are already registered. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Have a lot of gems to share with you. We gonna help you get your peace fund together, because I don't want you to feel stuck under any circumstances. Even if you choose to stay, I want you to have the option to go if that's what you choose to do. And even if you choose to stay, I also want you to have the freedom to not stress about money as a result of the changes that the felon is making. People are losing their jobs. He's cutting off federal funding. It's causing a lot of stress. I don't want you to be stressed. So I created this Peace Fund workshop just for you. As I always say, besties, Your financial peace, your financial freedom is resistance. You cannot let him stress you out. He wants you to be stressed. When you have financial peace, you can resist his antics. Your financial peace, your financial freedom is your liberation because it gives you the option to choose. It gives you the option to go if you choose to go. So if you want to leave the US, having a peace fund will definitely make it easier and give you peace of mind. So register for the workshop so you can prepare to go. But until next time, besties, I don't see any questions in the comments. But until next time, awesome, you received it. Good, good, good. I'll see you on Sunday. But until next time, besties, bye for now.